I'll bet nobody saw this coming. Davis retains the championship because of referee Steve Willis. Nobody could have seen that coming.
Can't speak on that?
Can't.
He did some shit though?
I can't speak.
No personal opinion, nothing?
Can't. Especially
That show you right there. He got power.
Cash cow.
That's what I'm saying. He put in the seats, man.
And I'll tell you what, Steve Willis also knew there was a cow because he started counting.
A leaked audio recording has allegedly surfaced suggesting that Gervonta "Tank" Davis and referee Steve Willis conspired to manipulate the outcome of Davis's fight against Lamont Roach Jr. This shocking revelation has ignited widespread outrage among fans and analysts, prompting urgent calls for an investigation into the bout's integrity. Veteran referee Jack Rice weighed in on the controversy, emphasizing the inherent flexibility of boxing's rules. He stressed that the referee holds ultimate authority in the ring, with full discretion to determine knockdowns and stoppages. Rice's comments have only added fuel to the fire, intensifying the debate surrounding the leaked audio scandal and casting further doubt on the legitimacy of the Davis-Roach Jr. fight. Is the ninth-round moment when Davis took a knee. Many argue that this should have been ruled a knockdown, a decision that could have dramatically altered the judges' scorecards. The referee's failure to acknowledge the knee as a knockdown has sparked intense debate, raising serious questions about the fight's legitimacy and fairness.
Tank Davis, GTD, and I don't mean got the draws, went up against Lamont Roach. Let me tell you something. Tank got spanked. Roach should have won. And Tank even dropped to his knee. It should have been called a knockdown. But they let it slide. They said, you know what? He said he had grease in his eye from his braids. But it still should have been counted as a knockdown. Because since it was a unanimous draw, that knockdown would have gave Roach the win.
Veteran trainer Boosie Yis shared his perspective on the fight, noting that while it was competitive, he believed Roach held a slight edge. With over 4 decades of experience in boxing, Yis remarked that he had never seen a situation where a fighter took a knee without it being ruled a knockdown. He also acknowledged Davis's undeniable punching power, but emphasized that such incidents should be thoroughly scrutinized to ensure fairness in the sport.
2 times in the amateur, but this time, Lamont was ready, man. He was ready. He was in shape. He took Tank punches, you know what I mean, and they was going back and forth, you know what I mean, and I thought it was a real close fight, but I thought Lamont edged it.
Were you surprised that Lamont backed Tank up and was winning in exchanges? Because Tank is looked at as probably the biggest puncher in boxing.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised because, like I said, when he came out the first time, he came out using his jab and like he was backing him up. But you know, Tank fight that way a lot anyway. He fight like that anyway. He'll move around. And you can back him up all you want. And, you know, Tank set them traps, man. He set them traps. So, you know, the traps that he was trying to set, was prepared for the trap. You know what I mean? He was prepared for the trap because he would counter and Lamont would counter right back. You know what I mean? So it was a great fight, man. Can't take nothing away from neither one of them.
Now, as far as the knee goes, you've been in boxing for over 40 years.
Over 40.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like that? A guy takes a knee?
No. Now that's something I didn't expect him to do. You know what I mean? You know, he took the knee. You know what I mean? And then ran to the corner and got his eyes wiped out. They never allowed that. They would have started counting. You know what I mean? I see that he started counting, then he stopped. You know what I mean? But you got to understand, you know, Tank got a lot of power. That show you right there, he got power.
Cash cow.
That's what I'm saying. He put asses in the seats, man.
Somebody said him getting his face wiped off, him sticking his head through ropes and getting his face wiped off was supposed to be a disqualification. Is that a rule?
That's what they say. That's what I
Bulma Unified Lightweight Champion George Kambosos Jr. expressed his concerns about the controversial incident, stressing that in boxing, a fighter cannot take a knee without it being ruled a knockdown. Kambosos pointed to the immense effort and dedication Roach put into his training camp, arguing that such incidents not only undermine the integrity of the sport, but also disrespect the hard work and sacrifices made by the athletes.
Obviously, Lamont started giving him some work, and He looked good, man. I got to give respect to Lamont Roach. He proved a lot of guys wrong. I think he shocked Tank a lot with what he was able to bring. And again, we saw the controversy with the knee. To me, that's a knockdown. You can't just take a knee and decide to, go to your corner and get your face wiped. So, yeah, if that's a 10-8 round, Lamont wins the fight. So it's, unfortunate, but that's the fight game. Hopefully they'll do it again and he gets paid, what he's worth.
Have you ever seen anything like that in boxing before? A guy sort of just voluntarily...
We've seen Floyd take a knee and be put on the count. We've seen Miguel Cotto, take a knee, obviously into his corner, be put on the count. If we're allowed to start taking knees and run to our corners, well, I'm going to start doing it too if I, as soon as I feel something, everyone will start to do it. But it's just not right. You're a warrior. Doesn't matter if there's grease in your eye, a bit of gel in your eye, or whatever excuse you want to use. I've been through wars where there's blood pouring in my eyes. In the Lomachenko fight, blood was pouring. I'm wiping it away. We've seen it with other fighters. So we don't get opportunities just to take a knee, go to our corner, wipe us up, and might as well have a coffee and have a laugh and then get back to action. It doesn't work that way.
Saw a bit of back and forth between you and Hitchens on Twitter, you and Gervonta as well. Where does that sort of animosity come from?
They just love mentioning Kambosos. They love the name, and like I said, when we're getting called out and spoken about by the world level guys, the champions, they're all champions, world champions. It shows how big our name is, and like it or not, we still have one of the biggest names in this game. Love me or hate me, you have to respect what I've been able to do, the guys I've been able to fight, and still, headlining big shows and still in line for more title fights and opportunities to become 2 division champions.
Renowned trainer Robert Garcia shared his perspective on the situation, firmly stating that referees should stop the fight if a fighter takes a knee without a valid reason, such as a low blow. Garcia emphasized that boxing rules do not allow fighters to call for timeouts during a round. He expressed surprise at referee Steve Willis's decision, noting that Willis is widely respected as a competent official and should not have made such an oversight.
Look, it could have easily been a disqualification too, or a referee stops contest, because look, there's no way a fighter could take a timeout and go get his, during the round. There's no way a fighter could say, okay, timeout, because he took a knee like a timeout kind of thing, and walk to his corner to wipe his face. That's fucking unheard of and never seen before. There's no way that's legal in boxing. It shouldn't have. When a fighter, we just seen it recently with Espinosa and Rubesis. Rubesis got hit with the right hand, and then he walks back and walks away, and that's it. And the ref right away wiped it up.
That happened with Lara versus Angulo.
Exactly. It's over. It's over. So Tank doing that, took a knee. It should have right away. The ref should have started, counting as a knockdown. But he still walks away to his corner. I'm actually, surprised that the ref didn't call it a knockdown, because he's a really good ref.
Willis is a really good
Willis
ref.
is a great ref, one of the best in boxing right now, and that was a big mistake. He should have counted as a knockdown. Like I told you, I wouldn't have been surprised if when he walked away, if he would have just waved it up, because that's walking away from the fight. Because of the odds, okay, well, during the break, tell the corners to wipe it up. And you can't do that when the fight's going on. There's no way, nothing. You can't do that when the fight's going on. You can't time out, take a knee, and walk away. There's just no way. But it is boxing, and a lot of things happen in boxing.
Lightweight contender Rayleigh Ramiro offered a more understanding take on the situation, recognizing that even the best fighters can have off nights. He suggested that Davis's performance may have fallen short of his usual standards, hinting that external factors could have played a role in shaping the fight's outcome.
Credit thing is, he's still a pound-for-pound fighter.
Yeah. What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night, or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. Shit, I had a off night with Cruz. Everyone has a night. It's boxing.
You want to run that back with Cruz or what?
Maybe down the line.
Lamont Roach Jr. addressed the controversy by underscoring his ability to stay focused throughout the fight. He made it clear that external distractions didn't disrupt his execution of the game plan, showcasing his mental toughness and the thorough preparation he brought into the ring.
Back is against the wall, against the ropes. It's like, it's time to show up. So it wasn't really hard for me to focus because all I had to do was do what I normally do. And I know that that was going to surprise or shock or shut everybody up.
Reports suggest that Davis made significant adjustments to his training routine for this fight, including relocating to Washington, D.C. and working without his longtime coach, Calvin Ford. This change reportedly gave Roach's team an opportunity to analyze Davis's preparation more closely, potentially shaping their strategy and impacting the dynamics of the fight.
That Gervonta Davis made from previous times that he had been fighting. He made a change in trainers, but he also made a change in the location in which he was training. He went and had Barry Hunter from DC, from a gym called Headbangers in DC as his head trainer, while Calvin Ford and Kenny Smith took a backup role. Gervonta Davis also worked out in Washington, D.C. Now, as you know, Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach fought each other in the amateurs. Their teams know each other. The people know each other. They all know each other in the same circle. What was told to me was that Lamont Roach's team knew pretty much what Gervonta Davis was going to do and what his approach was going to be to the fight because they knew what Gervonta Davis was working on in camp. That because he was in that same area and it was the DC area and Lamont Roach was a DC fighter and Gervonta Davis considered DC his second home, but it's not his second home. There's a big rivalry between DC and Baltimore.
Boxing superstar Canelo Alvarez was direct in his assessment of the fight's outcome. He argued that Davis should have been disqualified after his corner entered the ring to assist him without the referee's permission, a clear violation of boxing regulations. Alvarez's strong stance highlights the importance of following the sport's rules to preserve its integrity and fairness.
Davis take a knee, and should he have been deducted a point and in the end lost that fight to Roach, in your opinion?
Yeah, in my opinion, it was a draw. He take a knee. And plus the corner go up and put a towel in the face. That's a disqualification. For sure. I'm talking about the rules. But,
Promoter Eddie Hearn presented a contrasting perspective, arguing that for an action to be ruled a knockdown, the fighter must be hit by a punch and then touch the canvas. Hearn pointed out that Davis didn't seem visibly hurt by Roach's punch and showed no signs of distress, which, in his view, justified the referee's decision not to call it a knockdown.
One thing that's kind of baffling is that it wasn't a knockdown. I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, oh, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning. But it's a bit of a bizarre situation for me. Like, there was a lot of people in boxing that were saying that this is a really tough fight. Like, Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a tough fight. And Shakur said to me, like, even the day before, I'm telling you, he's going to have big trouble tomorrow night. And I just feel like hopefully this could be the little something that gives Gervonta a little wake-up call to take him back to the mindset of maybe...
What's really baffling is that it wasn't ruled a knockdown. I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee during a fight and touch the canvas while punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying he should have been disqualified because he went back to his corner, but honestly, I don't buy that. I think it's a warning at most. Still, it's a bizarre situation. A lot of people in boxing were saying this was a really tough fight, that Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a challenge. Even Shakur told me the day before, I'm telling you, he's gonna have big trouble tomorrow night. I just feel like hopefully this could be the little something that gives Gervonta a wake-up call, maybe bringing him back to the mindset he had before the Davis vs. Roach fight is a stark reminder of the complexities in boxing. This incident has sparked important conversations about rule enforcement, referee discretion, and the need to uphold the sport's integrity.
All right, let's go back to fight night, y'all. Gervonta versus Lamont, man. DC versus Baltimore, man. As y'all might know, I'm gonna give y'all a little history. Baltimore ain't a part of the DMV. We don't really claim them. They a part of it's two different worlds. So there's always been competition in the city between Baltimore, DC, and the real Maryland, which is like Upper Marlboro, Capitol Heights, and all that. So this is really a fight for the city, if y'all ain't know. So, but people didn't really know about Lamont. But what I'm saying is that it was a draw. I figured it would be that way because Gervonta the champ, and I feel like Lamont did win though. The combos was like 3-1. He was landing 3 combos, and then Gervonta was landing 1. Every one he threw 3 to 4 combos after that. So I felt like he won, but at the end of the day, both fighters put up a good fight, and they put on for the city, for real.
Boxing analyst Paulie Magnaghi emphasized the significance of the 9th round incident and its potential impact on the judges' scorecards. He drew a parallel to a past fight where Floyd Mayweather took a knee due to a hand injury and was given a standing count, stressing that consistent standards should be applied in such situations.
Gervonta Davis a lot. Ultimately, I don't think the draw is the worst decision in the world. I think, obviously Lamont overperformed here, or at least the look is that he overperformed. But I'll tell you where robbery can come into play. 2 scorecards were even. There's a knockdown not given to Lamont Roach. Gervonta took a knee on his own. Let's remember when Mayweather did this against Carlos Famoso Hernandez years ago when his hand hurt, the referee counted him. So that was counted as a knockdown. Steve Willis is supposed to count that as a knockdown. And if Steve Willis counts that as a knockdown, Lamont wins by 1 point on 2 scorecards. And that knee that Gervonta Davis took ends up becoming the difference on the scorecards. I don't think a draw is the worst result in the world.
The controversy surrounding the Davis vs. Roach fight largely centers on referee Steve Willis's decision not to rule Davis's 9th round knee as a knockdown. This has sparked widespread criticism and ignited debates about the consistency and fairness of officiating in boxing.
So many of you are arguing that Gervonta Davis did is not a knockdown compared to what Lamont Roach did right here. He's getting pushed down. What do y'all mean? There are so many times in a fight where fighters are forced down to take a knee. It's a veteran move. Let me put this into perspective for you guys that really don't understand this. Think about it. Every single time a fighter wanted a break because his opponent was walking him down, he had no answer. He was getting touched up more than he liked to. All he had to do was take a knee. And it's not a knockdown and a point taken. If every time you wanted to fix your eye or wipe the sweat off or hey, my glove is loose, I just gotta take a knee. Imagine the amount of people that would be doing. Imagine how bad fights would look with that. That's a cop-out. That should have been 100% ruled a knockdown. I'm a Tank Davis fan. I think Tank won the fight. I think he won 115, 113. I thought he pulled off the dub. But had that been scored a knockdown, we don't know what, I don't know.
Following the fight, there were talks about potentially overturning the result due to the controversial call. However, subsequent reports revealed that the initial article suggesting this possibility was retracted, leaving the fight's outcome unchanged.
Sorry, but if you're a Gervonta Davis fan, you might want to watch out. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check this out. Yesterday, Lamont Roach Jr. tweeted out, word on the block, y'all favorite fighter can be 30-1, not 30-1, 2-time 2-division champ. And I believe it was Ring Magazine tweeted out that basically the New York Athletic Commission was looking at the fight because the technology was messed up or the technology wasn't available during the fight to actually determine if it was a knee. And before the video goes any further, make sure you hit the follow button. But this is actually insane because technically, if that's counted a knee, he won that fight. In my mind, Lamont still won that fight. I wasn't too mad with the draw, but if you add that knockdown in, which I definitely think it should be counted as a knockdown, then that's a loss on Gervonta Davis's record. And honestly, he didn't earn the win. I thought the draw was okay, but I don't think he earned the win. And the real question that comes up is, do you think the Athletic Commission will actually overturn the fight and give Lamont Roach the win? I'm not too sure about that. I don't know how confident I am in them to actually overturn it, but who knows? Let me know what y'all think in the comments though, because if this gets overturned, this might be one of the biggest stories in boxing this year. And if you haven't already made it to the end of the video, go ahead, hit the follow button.
The fight's outcome has left the boxing community deeply disappointed. Fans and analysts have voiced their frustration over the officiating and the perceived injustice toward Roach, urging for clearer regulations and more consistent enforcement to avoid similar controversies in the future.
Nobody, and I repeat, nobody likes ties in a damn boxing fight, bro. A tie? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm not gonna lie, like a around round 8 or 9, that was going crazy. Like it was back and forth and everything, but like, come on, now. Stop it. Stop. Davis was supposed to get that fight, bro. He was supposed to win, bro. Like, are you kidding me? Like, who's ever in charge, bro, if it ends in a tie, y'all are going to immediately fight until somebody gets knocked out. Simple as that. Whoever falls first loses. It is that simple, bro. It is that simple. Because if they do a rematch and it's Lambert in this fight, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. So you might as well fight immediately right after that. Like what are we doing? A tie? Cap. I call cap.
That wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.